Good afternoon. Today we are going to look at one of the most important topics in health systems management. This topic is basically motivation. You know, it's not possible to have effective results if our staff are not fully motivated. So as a manager in the healthy industry, you need to appreciate how you can make your staff members or people that are working for you to be fully motivated. So pay attention to the key issues, but most importantly, I would like you to link whatever we are going to say to the practical aspects. In other words, how can you apply motivation in a real life situation, or in other words, in a real life organization? How can you apply whatever we're going to learn in a real life situation? So first of all, we are going to define what motivation is all about. What can we say is motivation? Motivation may be defined as an inner driving force within individuals by which they attempt to achieve some goal in order to fulfill some need or expectation. I'll say that again. Motivation may be defined as an inner driving force within individuals by which they attempt to achieve some goal in order to fulfill some need or expectation. Now, in this definition, let's break down the definition so that we appreciate what I'm talking about. There are basically three aspects to this definition that we need to understand.
For recording, you need to have no problem. We are going to look at the students.
No, you put it on there. Motivation. So there are three aspects to the to this definition. The first aspect is the inner driving force. That's the first aspect of motivation, inner driving force. The second aspect is the fulfillment of a particular need or expectation. The third aspect is the achievement of a particular goal. I'll say again these three aspects as far as this definition is concerned. Number one, the inner driving force that we have as human beings to want to do something. The second one, the attempt to achieve some goal. Third one, the fulfillment of a particular need or expectation. Now, this is how motivation works. First of all, a person has to have an inner drive to want to do something. That's the first thing. The second thing is you want to do that particular something, or you have that inner drive to want to do something because you are looking at a particular goal. That when you are going to do that particular something, you are going to achieve a particular goal. The third aspect is the fulfillment of a particular need or expectation. That's what we are talking about. So we need to be able to appreciate what I'm saying. So in order to motivate something, in other words, or in order to motivate a person, in other words, you need, first of all, to isolate these three aspects. You put the inner driving force on one side, then you put the goals that you want to be achieved on the other side, then you are going to identify their needs or expectation. So this is how it works. For you to motivate a person, first of all, you have to identify the third aspect. That is their need or expectation, the need of a person or expectation. When you have identified their need, then you give them the goal or objective that you want them to achieve. Goal or objective that you want them to achieve. Now, what happens is, if you meet that person's needs or expectations, and you promise them that you're going to achieve that need or expectation, then that person will initiate or will stimulate an inner driving force to want to do or to want to achieve the goal that you have given them to achieve. Because they know that once they have achieved the goal that you have given them to achieve, their personal needs are going to be met. Okay? I'll say this again. So how do you stimulate motivation in an individual? First, identify their needs or expectations. Second, try to meet their needs and expectations. Give them the goal that they have to achieve, and promise them that when the goal has been achieved, their needs will be met. That's it. It's as simple as it is as far as the way in which motivation works. So that's why motivation, therefore, is defined as some drive or an inner driving force within an individual by which they attempt to achieve some goal in order to fulfill a particular need or expectation. Identify people's needs. Give them the goal that you want them to achieve. You find that they will be motivated. Okay. Now, in order to appreciate further or to build a foundation further as to what motivation is all about, we can also say that motivation is the force that energizes behavior, gives direction at behavior, and underlies its tendency to persist. Motivation determines a person's behavior, and the resulting performance is a product of both ability level and motivation. So managers must seek to raise its level of motivation and direct its driving force towards the achievement of organizational goals. So motivation is simple. In short, as an organization, you need to be able to identify two types of needs. That is the individual needs and the organizational needs. So when we talk of individual needs, what are we talking about? Mostly people are concerned about their physical well-being. So if their physical well-being are met, they'll be motivated. Job satisfaction, low absenteeism, personal development, and respect from the work group. These are some of the things that people will see as their own personal needs. If these are met, you find that they'll be motivated, fully motivated. So as a manager, you need to be able to assess, as far as the organization is concerned, are we able to meet these individual needs? Because if you can't meet these needs, you find that the employees in your healthy facility or hospital that you're managing, they will not be in a position to be motivated. Apart from individual needs, then the organization also has its own needs. The organization needs include high productivity, high organizational achievement, industrial harmony, low absenteeism, low labor turnover. In other words, the organization expects that if they're able to meet the individual needs, then the organizational needs will be met as listed down here, high productivity all the way to labor turnover. So it is important for the organization, if the organization wants to meet these needs, the organization should also look at the individual needs. Strike a balance by meeting the individual needs, you find that the organizational needs will be met. In other words, it is also expected, therefore, if the organization has met the individual needs, then the organizational needs should also be met. So organization needs and individual needs, when they are met, the organization at the end of the day will have high productivity. In order to appreciate motivation even further or at a depth, it is important to look at what are known as theories of motivation. So in this world of ours, there are a number of important theories of motivation that have helped organizations to have their employees to be fully motivated. These theories, a number of them, but today, for the purposes of today's discussion, I have picked two important theories of motivation. And these include the first one, the Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy theory of needs. The second one, the McGregor's theory X and theory Y. The first one, the Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory is very common, and actually it's one of the first theories to be used by organizations in order to motivate their members of staff. So we have to appreciate what this theory is all about. In other words, for us to understand the motivation concept from first principles, we need to appreciate what the Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory is all about. Actually, let me point out that the rest of the motivation theories were developed from the Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. So if you want to understand the rest of the motivation theories, first of all, you need to understand what the Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory is all about. So let's look at the Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. What is it all about? Abraham Maslow is the name of a person. So this gentleman identified 5 main levels of needs of human beings. So this theory applies to all human beings that you can find anywhere in the world, and anywhere they are working for, you find that if we are to understand how a human being can be motivated, then we have to understand these 5 needs of human beings that Mr. Maslow identified. And actually, I want you to appreciate that Abraham Maslow is referred to as the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, meaning that these needs are in a form of a hierarchy, meaning that you have to meet the first type of needs before you can develop the other type of needs. So in this hierarchy, according to Mr. Maslow, the first basic needs of human beings are referred to as the physiological needs. The physiological needs are also referred to as the physical needs. Once one has met the physiological needs or the physical needs, then that person will develop another type of needs. These needs are called security needs. Security needs also have another name. They're also referred to as safety needs. Once the security or safety needs have been met, then a person upgrades to developing what are called love or social needs. Once this love or social needs have been met, a person will develop what are called ego or esteem needs. Once you have met the ego or esteem needs, then the final needs of any human being, that's the last part of needs that any human being may have. These are called self-actualization needs. Self-actualization needs. So we need to appreciate those. So, which ones are self-actualization needs, ego needs, love needs, etc.? So we're going to look at these needs one by one. Caution, I want you to understand these needs, first of all, but most importantly, I want you to appreciate how you can use your understanding of these needs to understand the needs of your employees in your organization. The idea is, how can you use, in other words, the Abraham's Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory to motivate your employees at work? So before we can answer that, first of all, let's understand these needs, 5 categories of needs, one by one. Let's first of all understand what the physiological or physical needs are all about. So like I said, the physiological or physical needs, these are the obvious basic needs that arises from a person's instinct to stay alive and reproduce. The obvious basic needs that arises from a person's instinct to stay alive and reproduce. You know, any person, before you may want any other type of need. The first type of need that you will have are what are called the physiological needs or physical needs or the basic needs. So what could be the examples of those kind of needs? The first one, food. I mean, any person, before you can worry about anything, surely your basic need may be food. So in other words, if you don't eat, then you don't have a basic need. Second one, water. So water, again, we cannot survive as human beings if we can't have water. Sleep. We can't survive as human beings if we can't sleep. So food, water, and sleep, these are the basic needs for any human beings to stay alive and reproduce and to stay alive and be able to go on with their own lives. In other words, if you want to meet a basic need or basic needs of any person, then first of all, ensure that you have provided food, water, and sleep. These are the basic needs of any person. And the fourth need is sex. Yes, I said sex. Any human being will have this basic need, sex. So in other words, as human beings, you have to ensure that you have sex as a basic need. Well, in what context are we supposed to have this particular sex so that we can call it a basic need? Well, the sex we're talking about here is that which is needed for reproduction. Remember, we said physiological, physical needs. These are obvious basic needs which arises from a person's instinct to stay alive and reproduce. So the sex here, we are referring to sex for reproduction. In other words, we're talking about this sex in terms of people that are able to reproduce or that should be in a position to reproduce. In our context, we can say people that are married. So we have to appreciate in what context we're talking about as far as the sex is concerned. So physiological or physical needs, these are the basic needs that one has to be met before they can have any other type of needs. So the understanding is if physiological needs have been met, that's the only time that the person will have other type of needs or will graduate into the second type of need. These are referred to as safety and security needs. So once the physiological needs have been met, a higher need will emerge. A higher need will emerge, which will determine behavior. And safety needs are those kind of needs which basically are there for protection. Safety needs are those which generally protect people from their environment, such as, for instance, clothing. Maybe if you have a security guard, all those are examples of security needs that we're talking about. Now, the security needs and safety needs can only emerge once at least you have the first basic needs. Otherwise, there's no way as a human being you will start worrying about security needs if you didn't have the physiological needs. Okay, so what will be the examples of these security needs? I've said, first of all, for you to have as many examples as you can, you need to understand what safety or security needs are all about. Safety and security needs are those which generally protect people from their environment. So what could be examples? Well, clothing, housing. We need to have a security guard. Those are basic examples of what we can call as safety or security needs. Then we can go to the next type of needs. The third type of needs, which one will have once you have met the safety and security needs, are called love or social needs. Again, you cannot develop this type of needs unless you had fulfilled the the physiological needs and the safety needs. Once you feel comfortable that you are secure enough as a person, then you develop another type of needs. These are called love and social needs. So what are these love and social needs? These are the need to belong and need to be accepted by colleagues